Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Xavier. This is TehcZavier, where I help you go further in tech. In today's video, I'm going to do a recap of my most recent study session and share with you what courses I took, what were some of the challenges, what were some of the insights, what you can look forward to, and how it can be beneficial. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first question you may be asking is, what courses did I take and how long did everything take? Here I have my Trello board, and everything marked December 18th are all the things I finished to date. So I did about 6 courses and or activities, and they came from the Career Journeys Associate Level Learning Path within ServiceNow. And so those included a exploration of the Rise Up forum in ServiceNow in the community portal, also making a post in that forum, and then looking at the credentialing program guide. I also looked at a story about someone who feels like they were in the same position I was back in 2022, getting started with the platform. We have another forum, and this forum is near and dear to my heart because I am a system administrator. So those are the courses I took. And let's go ahead and move on to the next question. What were my learning objectives and focus? With this particular session, this was my first session getting back into the swing of things. And what I wanted to really focus on was my own personal crawl stage. So as you may know, ServiceNow has the crawl, walk, run, fly stage. Right now I'm crawling. I'm crawling back to stuff that I may have skipped over in my pursuit of just getting my certification and just making sure that I'm reacquainted with all of the basics. And so I've done exploration of other things in the past, but there were a couple of really good resources that I explored today. And that was really my goal, just to get reacquainted with the platform and make sure that there's no stone unturned in terms of resources that I can use going forward. Now, the next question I like to ask myself is, what key discoveries or features did I really learn about? And in terms of features, nothing really new, but what I will say is I did discover a lot of really interesting tidbits around the credentialing program guide, or that were highlighted in the credentialing program guide. I'm going to do a pretty deep dive in that. But then I also liked this system administrator forum, and I don't know why I haven't really posted here in the past, but I'm glad I subscribed to that. So actually, if I say a feature that I learned about that I really didn't pay much attention to is the subscribe function in a lot of these forums. So that way I can stay up to date on different posts that come my way. All right, the next question is, what challenges were there to the learning process? And I have to say that these particular courses were pretty easy to go through. It was more just information, a lot of stuff I had already seen or seen a version of this somewhere else. So it wasn't particularly difficult to follow the material. What I will say though is, personally, because I'm getting back in the swing of things, I found myself zoning out and getting stuck on a page, if you will, or you stare for a long time and then the page disappears and you're somewhere in your imagination. That happened to me a few times, and I had to redirect myself so that I didn't A, look crazy on camera, but 2, I also didn't fall asleep at my desk. So now that I got the superficial stuff out the way, I want to start looking at some of these courses a little bit more in depth, some of the ones that I really got a lot of good insights from, and then just really close out this video with some practical information for you as a fellow learner. So if we look here at the Trello board, you'll see I have quite a few items here. I'm going to skip the Rise Up because it was just a forum. It was useful, but it wasn't the most insightful for me. What I really focused on a lot were the credentialing program guide, this story about Lori Marlo. And when I talk about the story, you'll connect with it, I'm sure, if you are in the same position. And lastly, this activity to post a comment to the system administrative forum. And as a side note, I didn't really think of Trello as somewhere where I'd be making a lot of my annotations. I usually just check boxes, but I'm starting to see that as a key feature. So this was a good lesson learned about this platform. But as you can see, this is the ServiceNow credentialing program. I spent a good amount of time on this particular area, I think almost an hour or so. And there's a lot of good information here. So I'm going to show you really quick what the topics that were covered, just as a really high level, and then we'll get into some of the key takeaways that I got. All right, so here I am at the credentialing program guide. And if you look on the left here, follow my cursor, these were some of the key areas that were covered. So how to get started on the credentialing journey, how to prepare through learning materials from Not Learning, how to schedule an exam. You had micro certification exam kind of content, what to do before test day to make sure that you don't get rejected or turned away at the door, basically what the test results will look like. And this was really interesting. And I know I'm skipping some things, but they talked about deltas, they talked about maintenance fees, re-entering the program certification after expiration, so if your vouchers expire, and then just certain policies, procedures, FAQs, and some resources. So it's really high level overview, but I'm going to talk about some areas that I thought were really ironic, funny, and just interesting altogether. And again, I'll be sure to share these links in the description of this video or above, either one. But first thing I took away was this. So when I read this portion, you can pause and read it. It basically says the knowledge checks alone in a lot of these activities, especially like the free ones, aren't going to be enough for you to pass. And I think that's something that was a bit of a misconception when I first got involved with the platform, because when you hear about the mission statement and why ServiceNow got developed, you're thinking, oh, it was created for a business person. So a business person can just imagine what they want and the platform will make it happen. But you realize there's a little bit more to it than that. And so this was really key information. Knowledge checks alone aren't going to adequately prepare you for an exam. And you actually have to go a little further and review release notes and product documentation if you really want to get it. So this is the area in blue. Again, if you're preparing for a ServiceNow certification and you're going for that exam, take heed to this, because there's notes sprinkled throughout every knowledge check. On the lower right corner, or at least it was when I took my exam, I skipped over those, and it wasn't until I tried to get a supplemental exam that I ran into terms I had never seen in the knowledge check. So just be aware of that. Next up, they highlighted, or did a good job of highlighting, some of the different roles. So this was really a focus on what the various exams cover, or the types of exams you can get as an implementation specialist in particular, and then as a sysadmin and application developer. But what I liked about this was it talks about certain key skills and knowledge that you need in order to contribute to the work that your role is expected to be able to perform. And what I like is you can see some of the overlap. For example, we see for sysadmin, you need to have coordination, you need to be accountable, be knowledgeable, and be able to supervise the platform. Whereas for implementation specialists, it's more solution oriented and technical. And then obviously you have this accountability and knowledge. You want to be knowledgeable about the platform for sure. And then it differs a little bit for application developers. So you can pause and read these if you want to explore more. You can also look out or check out the course or the program guide in full, and you'll see the same information. I thought it was really useful. Next thing I thought that was pretty cool were the micro certifications. Some of these are free, but they're also not proctored. So you take an exam just within the course and you do some labs, and generally you get your micro certification or credential badge. So that was really cool. Also, we have this pyramid of, I guess, credentialing, if you will. So as you can see on the bottom, you have the exam or certification on the left side, and then the role on the right side, or the type of, not the role, but the type of program that's associated with it. So if you're going into ServiceNow for the first time, sysadmin is definitely the foundation you want. And you can see how everything comes to a head when you get to these high level statuses. So either a CTA or a CMA. Now this one made me laugh, and it's because I remember trying to find out all this information ahead of time when I took my exam. And that is the misconception that you only need 70% to pass. And I put in parentheses like a mainline ServiceNow exam. I like that it says right here, through social media and word of mouth, candidates hear that 70% is the cut score needed to pass an exam, which is a misconception. And then highlighted below that, ServiceNow does not publicly share our cut score. And you can pause and review this on your own. They gave some level scoring here, but I thought that was funny because you'll see a lot of these clickbaity videos, or you'll find things you're paying for that these are mass exam dumps and information dumps for an exam. And if you're going into it, number one, just trying to memorize stuff, you're going to be like me, returning right back to the fundamentals because you didn't get it the first time. But also you can really shortchange yourself, because ultimately a company is paying you to administrate this platform. And if you didn't know, ServiceNow costs money. And so if you are playing games around your knowledge, like the lyric goes, there ain't no future in the front end. So don't act like this stuff and don't know it, and then just try to do just enough to pass it, because likelihood you either won't pass it, or you're going to find yourself fired and do a revolving door of like interviews or basically people that have more experience will be able to tell that you're BSing. So just know what you need to know and get those concepts. Don't worry about trying to get a cut score. Try to aim for 100%. All right, the next thing I want to put out here, this blog post that I read from about Lori Marlo. And in short, her story felt a lot like mine. Our organization got ServiceNow, and then I just happened to be the person who was like really interested in it. And myself and my manager got really into the weeds and started developing, getting all this work done. And we happened to work at the service desk. So we had a lot of higher level knowledge to form some of the development of the platform. And her story is no different. But what I like about it was shortly after she got the knowledge, or even before, she went and explored free resources and just pieced things together as best she could with the wiki environment as well as her PDI. And I encourage you to do the same thing. You don't need to pay for courses right up front. It's good to get your feet wet, experiment with some things, go into forums, ask questions, and you'll get good guidance, I can assure you. One thing that stuck out was she created a tool that allowed her and her coworkers to save hours on some really tedious process. And that's another cost saving to the company, because now those individuals are free to do higher level work, and automation and robots generally can keep up with that pace a little better than we can. Now, the last activity that I did before I called it quits for the day was I had to do a forum post in the system administrator forum, and I didn't really know what to put at first. And then I got an email saying, hey, you have an upgrade coming, or you need to upgrade by a certain cutoff date. And I was like, let me post this. And I actually got reactions right away. I'll talk about those responses maybe in another video, but in short, this was really a good activity, and it was something I needed now. It was right on time. And I basically asked, what has been your experience as a solo sysadmin managing a platform and then managing the upgrades for that platform? And so I got 1 or 2 responses already. And again, I'll talk about those in another video, but this is a really good, useful tool. And again, these forums are here to help. People answer really fast. They're always providing good information, and it's really indicative of the partners I work with and the energy I felt when I went to Now 2023. So in short, I enjoyed everything I reviewed. It was really useful, got a lot of value out of it. And one thing I will say, for those of you who are new to tech that are trying to get into ServiceNow based off things you've heard, I highly suggest that you give these activities the respect they deserve, because you're going to be doing a lot of reading, a lot of investigation, and you're going to have to find and network with a lot of people in order to get the solutions you need that are being asked of you as the admin. So definitely keep that to heart. Get that reading stamina together, because you're going to need it. And again, overall, this was a good experience for me to get back into studying. So with that said, hopefully this brought you value. And as I always say, don't be hard on yourself, just work hard on yourself. If you have questions or you need support, reach out to me and I'm happy to help you with where I can. Take care and have a good day. Peace.
Dear me, 3 to 6 months. Watch how I make you proud.